So, good morning, teacher. This is Types of Reading and Listening Questions by Diego Reyes and Danilo Castillo. So, first we got 9 different type of questions, and we're moving forward to the first one, which is vocabulary. How do we identify these type of questions? As you can see in here, we got a word highlighted and also in the question. The word or phrase, which is promptly, is closest in meaning to. We get these prompts in order to identify this vocabulary question. For the reference questions, as you can see, we're going to have the different prompts like the word it in the passage refers to. As you can see, it's a reference question, and in the question we already have the word refers to. We got next paraphrasing, and on these questions we're gonna have the expression best expresses the essential information, or and so on. As you can see in here, this part is highlighted, and we're asked to identify which of these different options best expresses the essential information that is already highlighted. Moving forward, got sentence insertion. As you can see, we're gonna see where will the sentence best fit. And as you know, this is an internet-based test. So we're gonna click on a square, in a black square, as you can see in here, and we're gonna add the sentence to the passage. The sentence is this one. In fact, it's well believed that. So the question is, look at the 4 squares that indicate where the following sentence could be added to the passage. We got factual information, and we got different sample prompts for this kind of questions. According to the paragraph, which of the following is true of detail? The author's descriptions of detail mentions which of the following. According to paragraph number 2, why did detail do, etc. And according to the paragraph, how did detail do, etc. As you can see here, we got according to the author in paragraph number 4, what might be one cause of a single instance of a phobic-like episode. We got the words to identify factual information is according to the author in paragraph number something, mentions the following. So for negative factual information, we can have either the words except or not in the prompt. As you can see here, according to paragraph number 3, all of the following were results of the wide disappearance of American chestnut trees, except you gotta choose the negative factual information of the exercise. We got then rhetorical purpose. Many of these questions will have the word why in the prompt, but not all. Some of the other prompts are the author begins paragraph number something with something in order to, etc. Or the author uses something as an example of something. As you can see in here, we got the word why, and does the author mention European dance music in paragraph number 2. And moving forward, we got the summary chart, like almost the last one, part of the reading section. We got the summary chart. It's easy to identify this part because we are given a summary statement of the reading passage, and we are given 6 answer options. Well, we are being tested on our ability to recognize major ideas in a passage, as well as being able to decide what is essential in the passage. As you can see here, we get mentally, imagery is a field of sports, psychologically, psychology that involves using the senses of something else. So, well, we get the summary charting here. This is an introductory sentence for a brief summary of a passage that is provided here below. We got the answer choosing here. And finally, we got the schematic table, which consists about completing the table below to summarize information about an X paragraph uh, and match with X statement. As you can see here, we got the options to drag the answer to the different choices and the spaces where they belong. We have the listening part. In the entire listening section, it will take you between 60 to 90 minutes to complete. You will have to listen to several minute-long recordings and then answer questions on specific information mentioned in the recording. It not only tests your listening skills but also your ability to take notes and stay focused. Knowing what to expect will make it a lot easier to do well on this section on the test. Here we have some of the questions you are gonna find in the listening part of the TOEFL IBT test, which can be main idea, details, purpose, organization, imply, attitude, function, and connecting content. This type of question you are gonna find in the listening part of the TOEFL IBT test is main idea. As each listening passage starts, the narrator will inform you of the main topic of the academic talk or dialogue. So you have a slight idea of what to expect. No matter what the topic is, you should be able to understand what the main idea of the passage is. This is what this question type expects you to answer. And also, almost all of the prompts will include the word mainly in it, so this type is easy to identify. As you can see in this example, the question, what is the main topic of the discussion? So this tells you that this is a main idea type of question. Moving forward, we have details. The detailed type of listening question asks you to identify factual information that is stated directly in the passage. Usually, the information is given to support or expand or provide an example related to the main idea. This type of question is when you will be glad you took notes. Sample prompts for this kind of question. You can have, according to the professor, what is detail? What is one way that detail can affect? According to the professor, how does detail do? And here we have an example of this type of question. Which of the following most accurately defines a carnivorous plant? Purpose. Dialogues, rather than academic talks, mostly use this type. The prompt generally asks why one speaker visits the other speaker. So you need to be able to understand why the dialogue, what its purpose is, what is happening. You're looking for the overall reason for the talk instead of any detail. Here we have here we have an example of this type of question. Why does the student go to see the professor? So you have to be looking for the overall reason for the talk instead of any detail. Organization. This listening question type will ask a why or how question and is more common to be found after hearing an academic talk. You are expected to understand how the passage is organized, why it is presented to you in a certain way. Sometimes the question will ask why something was included in the talk. Imply. Based on what you hear in the listening passage, you should be able to decide what logically might happen next, or be able to reason what the speaker means, what is implied,
by saying or asking something. For this type of question, it's the opinions, feelings, thoughts of the speaker you need to be able to understand and not just the factual information. It's a difficult type, but it's also not used very often. Attitude. The attitude question asks about the intention and attitude of the speaker when he or she talks about a specific detail. In other words, this question is about why the speaker mentions the detail. This question shows you details in the prompt but does not actually ask about it. It can be tricky, but the most important technique to getting this question right is to look farther than the surface. Here's an example. Function. The function question won't ask you what does the listening mean, like other questions, but it asks you why the speaker says what he says. Many times the speaker uses slang, idioms, or says things that are not um, directly relevant to what the question asks. Your job is to figure out what those seem to be irrelevant information do in the whole dialogue or talk. As you can see here, we have an example of a function question. We have connecting content. Connecting content questions ask you to show understanding of the relationships among ideas in a lecture and may require you to fill in a chart or table. This is one of the very few multiple choices listening questions. If there are 3 columns, the question is worth 2 points instead of one. The question can ask you to categorize answer options into categories or put the options in a specific order. As you can see here, we have an example of a connecting content question. And thank you for watching this video about the listening and reading questions about the TOEFL IBT test.